How are you? So excited you're here. Today, well, first of all, something you hear me say all the time is the best time to buy or sell is when it makes the most sense for you financially, when you're willing, when you're able. But it is kind of confusing when you hear that. There's a lot of noise out there. So today we have the honor of talking with one of my good friends, Cindy Porter, who is with Mission Care Mortgage. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh gosh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's good seeing you.
You as well.
We've worked together for like 6 years, I think, and it's been forever since I've seen you.
I know. Everything was, virtual all the
Everything's
time.
virtual, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you.
You as well.
Thanks.
All right, before we get into the questions, tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Yeah, my company. Thank you for asking. I thought you would never ask. Like I said, I'm Cindy Porter. I've been in the business for, as you know, probably over 20 years. 2 weeks ago, I decided to take the plunge and open my own company. Actually, my business partner and friend, Michael Ciadella, and I decided to venture out and open our own company, hence Mission Care Mortgage.
Love it.
We kind of got tired of being in that box. You know, when you work for a mortgage company or a lender, you actually are in a box of what kind of loan programs you have to offer, the interest rates and those type of things. Being a broker, which is what I am now, we have the opportunity to go out and shop and get your client the best rate. We partnered with multiple banks, so that allows us to not only give the best rate, the best program, the best options for our clients. So we were really excited to do that, to really kind of get out of that box. But most importantly, we're also excited is we give back to our community. We give $250 for every loan we close to the charity or nonprofit of choice of the borrowers. So not only are we really helping people get into their homes, but we're giving back to our community. So Michael and I are really excited about that.
I love that. I love it. I love that you care a lot about your buyer, but you also care about the community.
Absolutely.
I know
absolutely.
that my friends and family, I love giving back as well. So that's great. And just congratulations. How
Thank
exciting.
you. It is so exciting. It really is. It's been a whirlwind, but you know, had my first closing today and just super excited. Yeah.
Love it. All right. So here are our questions. Our first one is, I've always been told I needed 20% down payment, but I've heard that's not true. Do you have any other down payment options?
Absolutely. You know, Eric, I don't know many people that have 20% to put down on a loan. And some people do, and that's great, but there are other options. There's zero down, depending on whether you're a veteran or first-time home buyer. There's some caveats there, but there's a 3%, 3.5%, 5%, 15%. There's multiple programs, and now that we're on our own, we actually have even more programs available at our fingertips to help your borrowers. So I wouldn't be afraid of not having 20% down. There's definitely some options out there for your buyers.
Love that. So what I'm hearing you saying is we need to talk to our lender first so we know our options instead of assuming.
That's correct. That's right. Absolutely.
Perfect. Love it. I want to buy, but my credit score's low. What are the credit score requirements?
Good question. So, you know, in that box, I've always been at 620 or above. And now, as a broker, we actually can go down to 580. So there's more options out there. But that's another reason, you know, you'd really need to talk to your lender, have your credit pulled, so that you know exactly what your options are and what the availability is of a loan program.
Yeah, and that credit pulling process, that's not scary and terrible. And I just think a lot of times people are scared of it. But it's very simple and easy.
It's simple. I mean, it doesn't cost them any money. You know, I have a website they can go on, do an application. We'll pull the credit. A lot of times I do a lot of counseling. As you know, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. It's my passion. I got into business because I was a first-time home buyer. Didn't really like the way the process went. So I really kind of got into it to make a difference with my first-time home buyers. So I spend a lot of time going over credit, whether that's helping them build a credit, giving them advice on how to get better scores, putting them in a better position for them to buy a house. So it shouldn't be scary at all. Just a friend helping somebody.
Yes, I love it. You're holding their hand through the process and getting them to the finish line. Love
Absolutely.
It. Love that. Will I need to bring more than just my down payment to closing?
No, that's another good question. So when you close on a loan, there's what we call closing cost. It's what it costs to close a loan. There's a lot of moving parts in a loan. You just don't go in like when you buy a car and you sign a paper and you're done. We have a title company that actually makes sure that there's no liens on that property. They assign and represent the lender to make sure that everything's free and clear for you as a buyer. There's taxes that are assessed. There's appraisals that we make sure the values are there. Sometimes there's surveys, so there's a lot of fees. So when you call your lender first, which you should always do, is that lender's going to tell you what those closing costs are.
Mm-hmm. Great.
For sure.
Yeah, that's good. And again, we've got to call them first
Absolutely.
and get it before you go shopping.
Don't go shopping without your money.
Yes.
You got to know what money you got. That's right.
It. Okay, let's see. The next one, if I don't have enough money, is there any option for someone to help me buy a house?
Yeah, so a lot of those loan programs allow gift funds. So it's typically a parent for most of them, but employers can provide gifts. Kind of goes back to what we talk about all the time. Call your lender. A lot of times if a client calls me, when they call me up front, we pull credit, we talk about their money available, we'll talk about whether they have money in the bank or they need a gift, and there's a certain procedure to kind of walk through how we handle that gift fund.
Right.
But yeah, they can get gift money.
Okay, and so if they were to get gift money, does that person go on the loan with them, or?
Mm-mm. No, so they're not going to go on the loan. They're actually just giving them the money they need for their down payment, and they're signing a statement saying that they will not put a lien against that house, is pretty much what it boils down to. But again, there's so many different loan programs out there. They really need to talk to a lender to make sure they know who is eligible for that gift and what the process is.
Perfect. Love that you don't have to have it all by yourself, because like you said, most of us don't.
That's right.
Let's see, rates are higher than we've seen in the past couple of years. Should I wait to see if rates will go down?
Do you really think they're going to go down?
I would love a crystal ball.
Me and you both. I wish I had one. I would be rich if I had a crystal ball right now.
Same.
Right. You know, I remember, okay, so there's so many predictors out there, but I've got to tell you a quick story if you don't mind. When I first bought my house, I didn't know what rates were. I didn't really ask what the rate was. I knew what that payment was. And I knew that my rent was coming due. They were going to renew my lease. And I knew that I was going to pay a little bit more than I was paying in my rent. And it was a little scary, but I knew I could do it, right? So I bought this house, and then that next year, I didn't have a new increase in payment. It just was the same. And then the next year, it was the same. In 3 years, I sold it because I actually had another house to buy. I was in a relationship, and it was time to move on, right? I got $30-something thousand and to put towards my purchase of my house. And I remember thinking to myself, if I would have sat at that rental, they would have increased my rent, and I would have walked away in 3 years with nothing in my pocket to show for it. What an investment. Like, I was so blown away back then, and I thought, that's what it's about. So for me, if you are looking at renting or buying, don't look at the rate.
Right.
Let's get you in the payment that you're comfortable with. And you know me well enough, I really want them comfortable with that payment.
Mm-hmm.
If they're paying $1,800 in rent and they're going to $2,000, that's doable.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not going to let them go to $3,000 unless there's a good reason that they have extra money that they can pay it. I want to see people in their house. So really, don't wait for the rates to go down. I don't have a crystal ball, neither do you. I don't think anybody does.
No, I think that's great advice, and you're encouraging to build that wealth for the future. And you know, if you hadn't bought that house when you were ready to move on to that next step in your life, you would have been buying the first house.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
So it's just a great advice. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And then this is a question for me. For someone that is, maybe they've never bought a house before, they're terrified of the process and all the noise, what's your number one piece of advice?
Call a lender. Sorry.
How did I know that?
I don't know, you knew that answer. Call the lender. I mean, seriously, y'all. Lenders are a world of knowledge, and I don't expect you to know what I do for a living, and you're in the industry. You know more than most, but the common everyday person that's not in our industry has no clue what it's like. All they're doing is guessing at it.
Mm-hmm.
Call a lender, get pre-approved for your mortgage before you ever call your real estate agent.
I couldn't agree more, and it's not a scary process.
No, gosh, no.
And just so nice to have someone walk you through it. And I will attest, you walk them to the finish line.
I really do, you know, and thank you for saying that, because my customers, I actually have customers call me now, years later. I was going through my phone and I saw your number and I was like, hey, I just want to call Cindy and say hi. And I love it because I really truly have their best interest, and so does Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we both, and that's kind of why we partner together. We both have a servant's heart. We really want to help our clients, and I have clients following back up, and I love it. So, yeah,
it's a lifelong process.
Lifelong process. That's right.
So much. Well, this has been great, and I feel like you've really educated my friends on what they need to do when they're ready to buy a house.
Okay.
Where do we find you?
Great question. I have a website. I would love for you to check it out. If any of you guys haven't, it's Mission Care Mortgage, www.missioncare.mortgage.com. Take a look at it. Let me know what you think. My cell phone is 615-604-9000. That is my personal cell. Shoot me a text, give me a call. Would love to chat with all your friends.
Yes, I have that number memorized.
That's right.
For
Good,
many
good.
years, it is ingrained
Great.
in my forehead, in
Good.
my head. Well, this has been great. Thank
Thanks.
you so much for spending time with
My
me.
pleasure. It's been great seeing you.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. If you have questions, if you've been thinking about purchasing a house in the next year, let's start now. Let's talk to Cindy. Let's talk to a loan officer that can help you understand what you need to do to prepare so when it's time, we can hit the ground running.
Awesome.
Talk to you later.